Hello everyone, it's Professor Mog here. Today I'm going to cover a very hot topic on Global Group, and that is team composition. I see a lot of threads requesting people be built teams with the units that they have, but they don't really ask any specifics. I'm going to try to cover those today and hopefully guide a lot of you in the right direction. Now, what I have here is my generic team, and this is really just an all-purpose team. You can change out units as you need, but I'm going to get into what each unit does and why I use them. This is more of a meta team. It's geared towards the end game. There are a lot of different compositions you can use. What I have here are two supports, which would be Soleil and Barbarisha. Soleil is going to be my buffer. She's going to boost my parameters by a very generous amount, and also each of her dances provides minor breaks. I'm going to show you exactly what they do. Now, the way Soleil works is that when you enhance her, she has a 2-turn rotation. If you cannot afford to fully enhance her, which is my case, I don't have the materials, you just want to pick 2 of her dances. One based on boosting her offensive capabilities, which would be cannon dance in this case, and one based on defense, which I chose panzer dance. During her rotation, you want to start off with either, in this case, cannon dance or panzer dance, because the subsequent turn, the other dance will boost the set of parameters twofold. When you pick cannon dance first, it boosts the magic and then changes panzer dance into, instead of just boosting the defense for your team, it will boost defense and spirit by 120% for 2 turns. The third turn after that, cannon dance becomes a boost to attack and magic for the exact same values. Each of these dances has a break, so Sweat Dance, Cannon Dance, Panzer Dance, and Shooting Dance all have a corresponding break when enhanced fully. In this case, Cannon Dance reduces Spirit, Sweat Dance reduces Defense, Panzer Dance would reduce Attack, and Shooting Dance would reduce Magic. So she basically is fixed to this job, but the benefit to your team is so great that it doesn't really matter that she's not doing anything else. In terms of equipping her, as you can see, I pretty much just have her built to gain health, but you'll also see that, for instance, between Kingsglaive Hood and Ulrich's Kukri, I have all of the elemental resistance boosted. The reason she has negative fire resistance is just because I have Shiva on, but that's because I wanted her to be built more for spirit. Next, you'll see I have Barbarisha. Barbarisha's job, as I had explained in my support video about her, is to basically restore health and magic. If you use either Cyclone Shield or Storm Ward, she boosts her Refreshing Winds twofold, which then regenerates a massive amount of health and MP for 3 turns. After which, you can use one of her other abilities. Let's say you're trying to charm the boss, she can do Allure. She's got a little magic here and there. Depending on what you equip her with, she can do different jobs. In this case, She has Dispel as just a backup means for removing all those annoying status buffs that the bosses will grant themselves, which you'll find in a lot of fights to be extremely important. After the supports comes a tank. Tanks are very important in pretty much any fight, unless you're just kind of plodding along in the story, in which case you're not always going to need one. But my choice is Wilhelm. The reason I pick him is because he's arguably the best provoked tank in the game, and also his limit burst is at max level, 54% AoE, all types of damage mitigation. So when you face those big thresholds, let's say for instance Bloody Moon, and you need to, worry about the meteor, you use that limit burst and all of a sudden the meteors become little pebbles. In terms of equipping him, that is highly dependent on what you're facing. If you're going up against, say, Agayon, you're going to want to get as much defense and health as possible because the damage is largely physical that you're going to have to worry about. But if you're up against, say, Bloody Moon, you're going to need more spirit than anything else because it's mostly magic damage. In terms of equipment, I've mostly focused on, in this case, health and spirit. But I also have a mechanical heart because pretty much every time he gets hit by a physical attack, it's a reasonable chance for him to heal himself. So it takes a lot of the burden off your healer. Very, very good in this case. Next comes your damage dealer. In this case, it's Grimlord Sakura for me. She's going to chain everything. Pretty much only chains with a copy of herself, but she's got a lot going on for her. Aside from her damage, she's got a lot of utility. She can boost elemental resistance for lightning, light, and dark, so if you need something like that, she fits in. She's got Undying Fervor, which boosts some status ailment resistance, but more importantly, you can't see the ability in game, unfortunately. But it will also boost the immunity to all status breaks for your team. So if you're up against a boss that's going to be, trying to break your defense, your spirit, whatever status, this is going to stop that. Excellent. Also, the third great reason to use her is Rise Again. It's going to be an auto raise, so if you're anticipating your, tank, your healer, whomever to get one shot, basically it's going to kind of take the edge off that, and you're going to be able to carry on after. And last but not least, we've got our buddy Ayaka. Ayaka is going to heal, she's going to revive, she can buffer us. In this case, she can, remove stop from everyone. So if for whatever reason you're up against stop mechanics, you're not going to have to worry about that with Ayaka. For Ayaka, normally you want a lot of spirit on your healer. Spirit boosts any recovery moves by a certain multiplier, but in Ayaka's case, she's got the best heal in the entire game in Kiraja. Kiraja's base value is so high that even with just 400 spirit, you're going to be healing 8,000 per turn, and she can dual cast it, so really you don't need that high of spirit unless you're just getting absolutely mauled by magic damage. Now, this is just a basic team composition I use more geared towards the end game, as I had said, but let's say for instance you don't need the extra mana. You can swap out Barbarisha for a Chain Capper. And what Chain Cappers do is that's what a finisher is. they have very high damage multipliers across a single hit. So for instance, let's say I don't need to use my Barbarisha. I have Lunith. And Lunith, when fully awakened, has something like a 7.5x damage mod, and that will also be further multiplied by your damage chain, so it becomes exponentially higher when placed at the end of a chain. Also, if you decide to use his advance for whatever reason, let's say you're anticipating a threshold and you don't want to just spam cut through, it gets increased all the way up to 10.5x. So that's the regular physical damage multiplied by 10.5, and then you've got basically whatever the chain boost is for just absolutely ridiculous multipliers. This is the fastest way to deal the most damage possible. Let's say you don't want to use a chain capper and you just need something further. You can use a different support. Let's say we got 9S in the mix. Nines has a lot of powerful breaks. He's got elemental imperils, and he's just an incredibly good unit. The other good reason to use 9S is that he has damage mitigation on demand, spread shield. So for 3 turns, you are going to be taking, doesn't state it here, but it's 30% less damage of all types. So let's say you don't have Wilhelm's limit burst up every turn, but you're getting destroyed by damage. Spread shield will really help reduce that a lot. Now the last type of support is going to be the green mage. And by green magic, what they mean is specifically elemental resistance. So my go-to is going to be Minfilia. Minfilia is kind of a one-trick pony, like, your bards, etc. But what she does is pretty much for every single element, she has a corresponding ability that's going to increase resistance by 70% for 3 turns. So where she really shines is that you're up against, say, the Dark Espers, who are going to use fire, water, and dark damage. She can cover all 3. So if you just keep using those abilities in a rotation, she's going to be able to significantly increase your survivability across the board. In terms of further team composition, it really depends on who you have available. This is why you need to have an idea of what mechanics the boss or your story content or whatever is going to be used. Let's say you are up against someone who's going to be using a ton of status ailments. You're going to want to use Marie instead, because when enhanced, she can nullify every single status ailment across the board. Now, the last thing to really consider are the Espers. Now, when equipping an Esper, you have to kind of take into account 2 things. 1, what kind of elemental magic are you up against? And 2, what are the Esper's abilities? More often than not, if I am using a magic team like I do now, I'll give one of my supports Odin, because Odin has Finger Snap. It's a single target dispel. Let's say my Ayaka is stuck healing for a round, but I need to dispel that attack boost the boss has. Well, Finger Snap's going to do that for me. Another thing you can use for dispel is Ramuh. Ramuh has it. Also, if you're strapped for another healer and you don't really have anyone except maybe Luca and you need that extra boost, you can give someone, say, Carbuncle, because Carbuncle's going to have Cura. Or if you need a little minor bit of green magic, Carbuncle covers basic elements, I believe, fire, ice, and lightning. Past that, you just kind of really need to figure out what you're going to need for the battle. And if you can answer the questions with the information I provided, you can pretty much figure out who's going to get the job done based on what you have. You're going to have to really look at a unit's kit to determine if they fit the job. Hopefully this covers all the topics about basic team building. I can get into more advanced topics in another video, like fixed damage, cheese strategies, evasion builds, things like that. But for all intents and purposes, this is just more meant to be just a general introduction. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Any kind of feedback would be appreciated. Let me know in the comments. Thank you.